Okay, we have to talk about the Quantumania post-credit scenes because they were wild. Hey guys, I'm Joel and welcome back to Locked On Marvel. If you watched the Quantumania post-credit scenes and were left baffled and confused, don't worry because I'm about to break down and explain both the mid-credit and post-credit scene right here, right now. Now, obviously, I am getting into massive spoilers, so stop watching this video if you haven't seen the movie yet. Go watch the movie and then come on back. Okay, you guys gone? Going once, going twice. All right, here we go. And this is about to get real nerdy and sweaty, so grab some coffee and lock in. The mid-credit scene opens with a shot of what seems to be a coliseum full of Kang variants. Now, if you're a comic book fan, you should instantly know where we're at right now. This is the Council of Kangs. More on that in just a bit. The next shot pans upward, revealing 3 large statues of Kangs towering over the Colosseum. There are spotlights illuminating each statue, and it looks like these statues are all identical with helmets and the same looking armor. We can predict that the Kang the Conqueror we get in this movie was maybe the one who built this Colosseum and portrayed himself in these 3 statues. Looking past the statues, the scene is set with a gloomy and dark atmosphere with clouds in the background. Behind these clouds we can see a sacred timeline. We begin to hear a voice, and I'll do my best impressions here, say, "So, the exiled one is dead." And we cut to what seems like a private room inside the Colosseum, as we can still hear the roaring crowd of Kangs from the outside. We then see a variant of Kang appear from the shadows of this room dressed as an Egyptian pharaoh, saying, "You sure he's dead?" Immediately, we can see that this variant of Kang is none other than Pharaoh Rama-Tut. Pharaoh Rama-Tut was technically the first ever Kang variant we get in the Marvel Comics. He first appears in 1963's Fantastic Four number 19 as a time traveler who took over ancient Egypt. But we didn't know he was a Kang variant at the time. It was a year later in 1964's The Avengers number 8, which revealed that Rama-Tut had gone on to travel to the year 4000, when he had then adopted the identity of Kang. Now, if you remember, we actually got a tease for Pharaoh Rama-Tut way back in Moon Knight episode 3 on the back of the Egyptian kid's jacket. This was a direct call to the illustration of Kang we see in 2017's The Avengers Unleashed. Now, in response to Pharaoh Rama-Tut's "You sure he's dead?", we cut to a different Kang variant saying, "If it wasn't true, I wouldn't call you." This Kang variant is much more difficult to identify. There could be many options for which Kang this could be, but my best guess is that this is a remake of the Scarlet Centurion we first see in 1968's The Avengers Annual number 2. Although he's not very scarlet, so for this sake, we'll just call him the Centurion. We then cut back to Pharaoh Rama-Tut saying, "Must really eat you up that you're not the one who killed him." Now, of course, Pharaoh Rama-Tut is referring to the end of Quantumania, where Kang the Conqueror gets sucked into the power core that was used to power his time chair. And by the way, I definitely don't think that killed Kang the Conqueror, but I'll talk about that in a future video. In response to Pharaoh Rama-Tut, a third Kang variant walks into the room saying, "None of us killed him. They did." This Kang variant is undoubtedly Marvel's take on Immortus. We first see Immortus in 1964's The Avengers number 10. And like Pharaoh Rama-Tut, we don't figure out he is a Kang variant until it is revealed down the road. Now, as Immortus walks into the room, notice how Pharaoh Rama-Tut bows his head showing respect. However, the Centurion, or whoever that may be, obviously doesn't do the same. It seems like maybe he envies Immortus, or maybe there's some unsquashed beef between them too. Regardless, it is clear that Immortus is the leader of this trio. Immortus then says, "They're beginning to touch the multiverse, and if we let them, they will take everything we built. So let's stop wasting time." At the same time he's saying this, a large metal window opens up on the wall, revealing the sacred timeline. However, this timeline is clearly breaking the same way we saw it begin to break in Loki season 1. So what does Immortus mean when he says, "They're beginning to touch the multiverse"? Well, all throughout phase 4, we get different projects showing different characters messing with the stability of time and/or reality. We see Spider-Man get Doctor Strange to cast a spell that eventually cracks open the multiverse, allowing Spider-Man villains to creep on through. We also see Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch dreamwalk into other variant bodies from different universes, which obviously is a big multiversal no-no. We also see Ultron from What If Season 1 become aware of the multiverse and uses his immense power to break through the walls of each universe. All of these moments are signs that the sacred timeline is breaking and splitting off into different branches going into different directions. And eventually these branches will run into each other and cause incursions. And it's the concept of incursions that's introduced by Universe 838's Mr. Fantastic in Multiverse of Madness. Anyways, back to the scene. Immortus then says, "We're late!" The Centurion says, "How many did you call?" And Immortus responds, "All of us." We then come back into the Coliseum where we see what looks like hundreds of King variants gathering into the seats and even more variants appearing on the field. The first thing I notice are the portals being used by the King variants entering the Coliseum. The portals are identical to the one that Universe 838's Mr. Fantastic uses when appearing among the Illuminati in front of Doctor Strange. And if you didn't know, Mr. Fantastic, aka Reed Richards, is an ancestor of Nathaniel Richards, aka Kang the Conqueror from the 31st century. Both Reed Richards and Nathaniel Richards are related, and it is extremely clear by these identical portals that Marvel is drawing a connection between these two characters. Appearing in the center Coliseum are many King variants, and some look very different from each other. Most are wearing classic robes either in purple or green. However, this one is wearing an all-metal suit with gray and black tones. Also notice how he immediately bows to Immortus as the main three Kangs are walking into the Coliseum. There are obviously some Kangs that hold high respect for Immortus and probably view him as the lead Kang while others not so much. The other obviously unique looking Kang is in the background wearing a tuxedo or some fancy suit. This might be Mr. Griffin. Mr. Griffin is a Kang variant from the comics who actually bought the Avengers Tower and used it for his company Kang Enterprises, Qeng. Is obviously a respelling of his real name Kang, Kang, to keep his identity hidden. And if you remember from Loki Season 1, we saw a pruned Avengers Tower in the void that actually read Kang, Qeng. So did this Kang variant Mr. Griffin buy the Avengers Tower after the Avengers moved out? Maybe, we'll have to wait and see. We then finish the scene with a pan over the stands of the Coliseum. And now we can see thousands of Kangs gathering, and most of them seem to be cheering, almost fanboying over the main three Kangs, Immortus, Ramatut, and the Centurion, as they are entering the Coliseum. Now, I teased this a couple minutes ago, but this is undoubtedly the Council of Kangs. The Council of Kangs was an awesome story from 1988's The Avengers number 292. This featured Kang the Conqueror being summoned in front of the Council of Kangs, where he would be deemed worthy or unworthy of the title of Kang. Now, we're still unsure how Marvel is going to handle the Council of Kangs, but I believe it's going to be more of a ceremony where every time one Kang dies or loses control over their own timeline, all the Kangs gather to vote on who will be the next Kang to take control of said timeline. And all of the screaming and shouting from all of the Kangs in the stands makes me think that this won't be any quiet event. No. I believe that all of the Kangs who are appearing on the center floor of the Coliseum are the ones who will fight each other to the death for title of the Ultimate Kang and control over the timeline. Alright, moving on to the post-credit scene. This seems like a scene pulled straight from an episode of Loki Season 2, and oh my goodness, I am so hyped to watch this show. The scene opens black with a voice that says, "Time is everything." Then a curtain peels away to reveal a... Well, at first glance, I have no idea, so let's continue on and try to figure it out for ourselves. The camera pans over to a sign that reads, "Victor Timely and his astounding temporal marvels." And out comes Jonathan Majors onto stage wearing an early 1900s suit with Harry Potter glasses and a mustache? Oh yes, this is Victor Timely. Victor Timely is yet another Kang variant who time traveled back to 1901 and created his own town and named it Timely, Wisconsin. There he became mayor and blew everyone's mind away as he introduced them to basic principles of robotics and computer science. And it was here in Timely, Wisconsin where Victor Timely built the famous city from the comic books, Chronopolis. So again, Victor Timely says, "Time is everything." But then he adds, "It shapes our lives, but perhaps we can shape it." Then the scene cuts to my man's Loki. And in similar fashion, Loki is dressed in an early 1900s outfit, obviously trying to blend in. And he says, "It's him. And then we cut to Mobius and he says, "You made him sound like this terrifying figure. Wow." I'm just joking. He obviously didn't say that last part. And then Loki responds, "He is." Okay, so what the heck is going on in this scene? My guess is that Loki and Mobius are traveling back in time in attempts to gain information and knowledge about the current Kang who is in charge of the TVA. And this variant, Victor Timely, I believe, is the current Kang in charge of the TVA. And this scene shows him when he goes back in time, disguised as this Victor Timely character, to establish the technology into the timeline so he can then use it to run his TVA. This is similar to what Phastos from Eternals would do by planting seeds of technology throughout history to help people keep advancing and growing as a human race. And this device that Victor Timely is showcasing is probably the time-traveling device he needs placed into the sacred timeline so that he could use it to run his TVA. And furthermore, what if these innocent audience members are the first TVA agents that Kang brainwashes to come work for him? And oh my gosh, my brain is starting to explode from trying to comprehend the multiverse and the timeline. I can't.
He needs some milk.
So that was starting to get really nerdy and sweaty and my brain's starting to hurt. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it there. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed my breakdown and explanation of these wild Quantumania post-credit scenes. Alright, anyways, I love you guys, so subscribe if you love me back. Be sure to smash that like button, turn on that notification bell, always stay locked on Marvel, and I will see you in the next video.